The $50 fee to stay on campus over Thanksgiving break is no longer. Find out what sparked the change.
Fall Fest is just around the corner. Find out what event organizers have planned.
And York Hill's On the Rocks pub is back open. Hear what students had to say.
All that and more on the Q30 Newscast.
It's 9:30 on a Wednesday night, and that means one thing. Welcome into another edition of the Q30 Newscast. I'm Jacob Resnick.
And I'm Abby Blackmore. Let's get right to tonight's top stories. Can't make it home for the holidays? Students will not have to worry about paying to stay on campus anymore. Following a successful letter by the International Student Association, Quinnipiac's University Office of Residential Life sent out an email announcing that they will no longer be charging students who requested housing over Thanksgiving break. Vanessa Blasi has more.
On Monday afternoon, Quinnipiac University's Office of Residential Life sent an email announcing that students will no longer have to pay the $50 fee to stay on campus during Thanksgiving break.
This email comes after the Department of Cultural and Global Engagement spoke to administrators on behalf of international students.
And a lot of people I know in DCG, we have Sarah Driscoll that had spoken with the administration. I'm glad that they took it on board. They acted pretty swiftly.
John Morgan sent a statement saying, quote, "After receiving student feedback, the decision was made to not charge students to stay in university-owned housing during Thanksgiving break." The International Student Association also sent an open letter to administrators. The letter requested for transparency from administrators and that no such fees be imposed on international students in the future.
The president of ISA says, quote, "They expect us to pay near hotel fees for this kind of living on campus, which was already promised and guaranteed in the housing contract you signed at the beginning of the year. So the letter, even in itself, came to life out of response to that and a lot of other intent issues that we were having with the administration." End quote.
Chief Experience Officer Tom Ellett replied to the letter, apologizing for not initially including the club's opinions and suggestions. Ellett also added that he thought the policy was, quote, "historical in nature," end quote. However, fourth-year international student athlete Alester Magalit says this policy did not exist in the years he's been here.
I didn't have to pay anything. I was allowed to stay, basically. All I had to do was just submit an application saying that since I'm an international student, it's impossible for me to, fly back to my own country because it's not practical.
Students think that the fees are irrational and shouldn't have been imposed at all.
It should be the standard. I think that's how it should have been to begin with. That's how it was in my freshman year. I think it's kind of expected for what a university should do for international students.
Reporting for Q30 News, I'm Vanessa Blasi.
Believe it or not, 2022 housing selections are just around the corner. Quinnipiac's Office of Residential Life will be allowing students the opportunity to tour housing options on York Hill next year. With multiple styles of living available, the office says there is a place for everyone. Student housing contract reservation fees are due November 7th. The following week, selections will be taking place on November 12th for seniors and November 17th and 18th for juniors.
The different options that QU has for students to live on campus, and I'm pretty proud of them. We have some really nice and a wide variety of places that students can live. So there's typically a place that everyone would like, and we're really proud of that.
October is Domestic Violence Awareness Month, and the Quinnipiac community is being called to action. In addition to wearing purple on Thursdays to support the cause, QU Title IX Coordinator Dennis Quartning says the most important thing students can do is continue the conversation.
We know from practice and research that without awareness and education, things go unaddressed. And so we spend a lot of effort and put a lot of energy into really educating the campus to let them be aware of how domestic violence is impacting people. There are folks on campus who are victims and survivors of domestic violence, and without us speaking about it, it's going to be very difficult for us to end domestic violence.
Victims and survivors of domestic violence on or off campus can contact Public Safety or the Title IX office. The Quinnipiac Public Safety officer was shaken up Thursday afternoon when a suspicious vehicle sped off after it was pulled over in North Lot. An email sent by Public Safety says the car was stopped at the entrance to North Lot when Hamden Police was summoned to the scene. After the individual, who was identified but not named, was questioned by officers, he lightly struck a public safety official while fleeing the scene at a high speed. The Hampden police did not make it to the scene in time. Though crisis was avoided, students are now saying it's concerning what's possible on campus.
I think it's more about public safety, like making themselves more known on campus, and like that there are like a serious force on campus that will like punish people if they're doing something wrong, because like that just kind of shows that there's like a disregard for public safety. Like people aren't afraid if they're gonna like hit a public safety officer.
The Recreation Center is currently undergoing renovations as part of the 10-year plan. While there have been some setbacks, university officials are confident that the project remains on track.
We're being told by the manufacturer that we got 18 of them and we're still waiting on 2 more parts and we can't build it till we get those 2 parts. So that's actually been delayed several months and that was disappointing. We have enough time now that we can wait for them to arrive, but everything is pretty much delayed from what we typically expect. We're still on time and on budget.
And we're heading to our first break, but on the other side, the Student Programming Board is gearing up for this weekend's Fall Fest.
Plus, the latest national, international, and sports news.
But first, Jack Main is here with a weather preview. Jack, what's it looking like?
Jacob, I can't believe that it is October 20th and we are still wearing shorts and t-shirt. However, I have reason to believe that that's going to change. My full forecast on the other side of this break.
If you need to do something to feel okay to drive, you're not okay to drive. Don't drive buzzed.
Honey, what I think you need is a socket wrench.
I played JV basketball.
I'm sorry. I don't think it looks right.
This is good, and it's all good, baby.
Is it really all good?
If you love me enough to routinely test your handyman skills, not to mention the strength of your marriage, then of course you'll visit nhtsa.gov/the-right-seat to make sure I'm in the right car seat.
I'm gonna call my dad.
Multiple studies have shown that marijuana can slow both driver reaction and response time, which can be really dangerous. It's here. It's here. Wait. What?
I can't drive.
Why? My. Oh.
Welcome back to the Q30 Newscast. And Quinnipiac students have a spot to hang out on campus that's both old and new. For the first time since the beginning of the pandemic, York Hill's On the Rocks pub opened its doors Monday night. Katie Cohen has more.
I am here at On the Rocks, the pub and grill located on Quinnipiac's York Hill campus. It has been closed for the past year and a half due to the pandemic, and tonight it reopened for the first time.
On the Rocks Pub and Grill opened originally in February of 2020. After being open for less than a month, the restaurant was forced to close due to the pandemic. Over a year and a half later, the pub is reopened and welcoming Quinnipiac students. On the Rocks will be open this semester on Monday and Thursday nights, and also after select sports games. The staff are looking forward to making new university traditions, like On the Rocks after a hockey game. Chief Experience Officer Tom Ellett says, quote, "We are so excited that On the Rocks is finally open and ready, and soon we will have the permit for alcohol." The university applied for a liquor permit with the Connecticut Department of Consumer Production, but it has not yet been received. Once the liquor license is approved, the facility will be for both those over and under the age of 21. The Student Programming Board will be holding events like trivia, bingo, and have live bands perform. And although Tom Ellett wasn't present for the original planning of this SGA initiative to open the pub, he is very excited for it to be open this year, saying, quote, "And one thing I'm really excited about is that it is all student staff working at On the Rocks." Quinnipiac students are also very excited for the reopening of On the Rocks.
I'm really excited to try On the Rocks. I think it'll be a really great thing to go with my friends and something new to experience since it wasn't open last year.
For Q30, this is Katie Cohen.
Let's now take a quick look at the latest updates from Quinnipiac's COVID data dashboard. As of Monday, October 18th, the university is reporting 2 active cases, which is down from 8 last week, and no new cases, down from 4 across the previous 7 days. It's interesting to now look at these numbers and compare them with the data from exactly 1 year ago. Still just 3 new cases reported on October 21st last year, but as we remember all too well, Halloween was a week and a half later and had very different plans. So stay safe out there, Bobcats. Tickets are on sale now for the Quinnipiac Theater Department's production of Three Sisters. The play runs from October 29th to November 6th and tells the story of 3 incredible young women who feel trapped in their small lives in a small town and dream of returning home. Tickets can be purchased at theater.qu.edu.
Fall Fest is just a couple days away, with students getting ready for music, food, events, and more. With COVID preventing a full experience last year, many are excited for a great day of fun.
It's really cool. It's an opportunity that we didn't have last year to really have like a full show and give students like a full experience. We have an opener, we have a DJ coming, the entire stage set up on the quad is going to be really cool. Just really creating an atmosphere and a vibe just to celebrate the fall semester as we're getting through this.
Fall Fest will take place on Saturday. For more information, check out the Student Programming Board's Instagram.
And now for the latest news from around the globe, Averill Evans is live with us in studio. Averill?
This week for international news, let's take a look at Russia first, where Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov suspended their mission to NATO. This comes after NATO withdrew the accreditation of 8 Russian officials believing they were secretly working as unofficial intelligence officers. The country's city had dismissed these allegations as baseless. In addition, Russia is suspending the occupation of NATO military legion in Moscow. In the minister's response on Monday, he said that, quote, NATO is not interested in any equal dialogue or in any joint work. If so, then we do not see much need to continue to pretend that some change is possible for the foreseeable future. NATO has already, in fact, declared the impossibility of such changes, end quote. The United Nations has announced a nationwide polio immunization campaign in Afghanistan. For the first time in years, allowing the female staff to participate as well, UNICEF has the full support of the Taliban to begin this campaign in early November. In previous years, the Taliban have been opposed to vaccines, claiming it as a Western conspiracy. The immunization campaign, beginning on November 8th, would be house to house, aiming to reach about 10 million Afghan children under the age of 5. Being the first to do so in over 3 years, this includes more than 3.3 million children who were previously unable to attend these vaccination campaigns. Moving further to the east, North Korea launched a possible submarine ballistic missile Tuesday morning. According to South Korea and Japan, this is the 8th test missile this year. Leader Kim Jong-un is allegedly developing ballistic missiles to prepare for a, quote, more survivable nuclear deterrent able to blackmail neighbors and the United States, end quote. It is said that although the timing of the launch is mainly driven by a schedule, that there is a political element to it as well, with the launch coming after a conditional peace offer to Seoul connecting military hotlines. That's the news for around the world this week. Jacob, Abby, back to you at the desk.
We'll take another quick break.
When we come back, students are seeing an increase in costs for required classroom software.
Plus, a former Hamden mayoral candidate is back in the race, this time as a write-in. Don't go anywhere.
Maybe you can make retirement happen. After all, you made home ownership happen. Homeschooling yourself on loans, beefing up your credit score.
So I'm pre-approved.
You were like, yes! Sorry. Color coding listings, ticking boxes, and flushing every toilet in a 20-mile radius. Home sweet home. You aced House Hunter. Now get the tips you need to get on track at aceyourretirement.org.
Thanks for sticking with us on the Q30 Newscast. Now, I heard it was 91 degrees out today.
Wow.
No, hold up. No, I'm being told that was the score of the Boston Red Sox game today. And with that, we send it over to Jack Main with the weather. Jack, take it away.
Man, Jacob, I cannot believe that it is October 20th and the Red Sox are still playing baseball. Oh, I meant to say, I can't believe it's October 20th and it's so hot out still. Let's take a look at what we're looking at right now around the Nutmeg State. You can see right here, New Haven, just down the road from us, 59 degrees, a tick off that 60 mark. And if you go just 45 minutes up the road to Hartford, 51. That's a big difference for just a short span right there. Makes you think that there is a system moving through. The low of the evening, of course, going to Norwich, 49 degrees. Now, let me get you set for the rest of the week because as I teased earlier, we're looking at sweater weather coming sooner than we might realize, although it has been a little bit. Farmer's Almanac does call for a summerly October, maybe even a little bit in November, but here's what I got for you guys. 74 today, 74 again tomorrow, but then you see the temperatures begin to drop. 59 degrees on Saturday, Fall Fest, mind you, 60 degrees on Sunday, and then we're down into the 50s with the lows heading into the 40s. Everyone go to your parents' house, unpack everything that you have that requires anything to go skiing because you're going to need it sooner than later. Back to you guys at the desk.
Concerns about rising costs for required classroom software has made its way to the Student Government Association. Luca Triant has more.
Since last fall, students in the School of Communications were required to pay for their own subscription of Adobe software, such as Photoshop and Premiere. However, a Student Government Association sophomore senator is coming up with a new, cost-effective solution to help both students and the school save.
Right now, I'm trying to get students being able to have access to Adobe Creative Cloud on their device because the school is trying to build a Mac lab on York Hill and even has a Mac lab right now in Mount Carmel. It costs more to actually build the Mac lab on York Hill than to provide the subscription to students.
Cardano's initiative is still currently in progress as it is currently being reviewed by the university administration. The SGA is meeting right behind me right now at the CCE building. The Adobe Initiative was proposed at the end of last month. However, it remains to be seen whether we'll be seeing any change anytime soon. And that's assuming the university will even approve on the proposal. Students in the School of Communication voiced their thoughts about the Adobe situation on campus and the initiative by Senator Cardano.
I think it would be a great move to get more students on their own laptops for Adobe Premiere and Adobe Audition, all those great programs. We had that convenience factor, and I'm speaking only for myself here, but my productivity tended to soar.
I feel like being able to do that kind of stuff on the go, or whether you're off campus, getting a bite to eat or a coffee and you want to work on your work, or even just in your room if it's late at night and you kind of want to work on a project, I think it's a lot more convenient than going to the Mac Lab, which isn't open 24/7.
The initiative is set to finish the review process in the next few weeks, where Cardano will then talk with School of Communications Dean Chris Rausch to discuss the next steps. For Q30 News, I'm Luca Triant.
A familiar face is back on the campaign trail in Hamden. Albert Lotto, who ran for mayor as an independent before dropping out last month, officially registered this week to return to the race as a write-in candidate. Lotto told Q30 News, quote, "This is a contentious election with two very opposite candidates with no moderate at all. This is forcing people to make a choice they do not want to make. Moderate Democrats do not want to support a progressive and find it hard to vote Republican. It is absolutely important to change the two-party system that has plagued Hamden for far too long. People deserve choices and moderates deserve that option." End quote. Lotto is now back in the mix for November 2nd's municipal election, where he said he offers voters a choice between, quote, the far left and the far right, end quote.
We turn now to national news, and here with the latest is Olivia Cattell. Olivia?
Thanks, guys. This week there have been some recent developments in Florida on the Parkland shooting of 2018. On Monday, families of the victims in the shooting reached a settlement in their case totaling $25 million, which will be divided among 52 families. They accused the Broward County School District of negligence in the shooting that ultimately killed 17 students and staff members and wounded 17 as well. The shooter, Nicholas Cruz, also pleaded guilty to 17 counts of both murder and attempted murder today and could face the death penalty. A plane carrying 21 passengers and crew crashed in Houston, Texas yesterday afternoon. The private aircraft did not even leave the ground before it crashed into a fence and burst into flames. However, all passengers and crew survived. The plane was headed from Houston to Boston, Massachusetts for Game 4 of the ACLS between the Boston Red Sox and Houston Astros. In addition, the accident took out a power line which cut off power to more than 1,800 homes nearby. Power has been restored to all but 17 of those homes since. And for our last story, participants over age 21 can now use apps like FanDuel or DraftKings through the Foxwoods and Mohegan Sun casinos, as well as the Connecticut Lottery, to place bets. Participants over age 21 can now use apps like FanDuel or DraftKings through the Foxwoods and Mohegan Sun casinos, as well as the Connecticut Lottery, to place bets. Last week, the state began its soft launch of this program, which allowed people to sign up for the apps early, but now it is open to everyone. Currently, 17 states allow sports betting and only 7 allow general online betting, so this legislation is very exciting for Connecticut. That's all for national news. Back to you guys at the desk.
It's time for our last break.
But when we come back, Lo Yarnell is here with sports. Don't touch that dial.
What do you think you're doing, Kevin?
Was just gonna drive home.
There are several warning signs present that you shouldn't be driving.
Like hearing voices?
Like your text-to-emoji ratio?
Oh man, the selfies. Selfie, nailed it.
We all have warning signs that let us know that we're probably not okay to drive. Mine is pretending to be your subconscious.
Craig, come on man, let's split a ride home.
I know what you're thinking. I need a job. I need a new career.
Well, I've been there.
I've been there.
I've been there. I wasn't happy with what I was doing. After high school, I didn't have a plan.
I just wanted to start working. I got laid off twice, but you gotta keep going.
You just need the right skills. Find an apprenticeship.
I found a 2-year IT program.
I found a medical course online.
I'm now a consultant in the tech space.
You have more options than you think. You can do this. You will find something.
You will find something new.
When we adopt a shelter pet, we discover they're a unique mix of all kinds of things.
Come on, Joe, spot on this last one. There it is. Keep going with it. Leo.
They're a little bit of a lot of things, but they're all pure love.
Thanks for sticking with us. Quinnipiac Athletics will be participating in this year's NCAA Diversity and Inclusion social media campaign this week. This campaign is designed to show the importance of an inclusive environment in all aspects of college sports. Each day of the campaign has a theme that represent ideas and action steps for athletes and coaches to form a more inclusive environment.
Now we head over to Lo Yarnell for tonight's sports report.
It's been a busy week for Quinnipiac sports so far, so let's jump right in. Starting on the ice, the number 8 ranked women's ice hockey team played 2 games for a top 10 matchup this weekend. It was a series against number 9 Providence, the first time the teams have faced each other since 2019. The Bobcats worked from behind with goals from grad student Taylor House and senior Courtney Vorster to tie things up at 2-2. But Friday's match would end in an overtime tie, the first one all season for both teams. Game 2 brought things back to Hamden. Taylor House scored the only goal for the Bobcats to match Providence. But another uneventful overtime ends this one in a 1-1 tie. Quinnipiac leaves this top 10 matchup with 6 wins, 0 losses, and 2 ties on their record. The Bobcats head into ECAC play next Friday when they'll take on the Brown Bears in an away contest. Moving to the field, the men's soccer team is on a 2-game losing streak after starting the season with 5 straight wins. In MAC conference play, the Bobcats are 2-4 after 2 losses last week to Iona and Niagara. Junior Brog Austin leads the team with 8 goals, but the team will need stronger defensive performances to help out goalies Andreas Hadjigavriel and Jared Mazzola. With only 4 games left in the regular season, Quinnipiac sits in 9th place in the MAC standings. They'll need strong performances against Monmouth, Fairfield, Manhattan, and St. Peter's if head coach Eric DaCosta and his squad want to be one of the top 6 teams to make it to the MAC tournament. Finally, the women's basketball team is getting ready for their upcoming season. The MAC preseason favorites announced last week that, similar to men's basketball, they'll be holding an open practice this Saturday, October 23rd at the People's United Center. The open practice will run from 3 to 4 p.m., featuring a post-practice autograph session with the players. With less than a month until their first game, head coach Trish Fabry wants the Quinnipiac community to get the chance to meet star returners like Michaela Morris and Mackenzie DeWeese, and welcome newcomers like transfer guard Mackenzie Helms. Contact Jasmine Vogel to reserve your spot for this Saturday's open practice. That's the latest for the sports update. Back to you guys at the desk.
Thanks a lot, Lo. And now our final story tonight is a fun one, all about a spoken word poet that walks among us here on campus.
Tim Malone has the story.
You are now listening to the illustrative mind of Naka-Neliak.
Hockton Salen goes by an alias Naka-Neliak for his poetry. He's releasing a new project this year titled Ineffable, described as a collection of pieces depicting emotions that are too great to explain.
I have dropped projects before, you know what I'm saying, and they've been exclusive to Petrichor, aka Naka-Neliak.com, which is my blog, and you know, that process was always very easy, right? Because it was during the COVID era, you know, we were all in quarantine. But now with this effort, right, where now Ineffable will be coming out in zine format where you can actually hold and feel Ineffable in your own two hands, you know, there's a lot of publicism that goes into that, right? Because now I have to get people excited to maybe buy a copy of Ineffable or even take the time to read 7 pieces, right? That are, as you might have seen, rather long, right? These aren't short poems by any means.
Since starting poetry, Hockton has generated a following of people in and outside the Quinnipiac community. He's happy to share this new project with his audience.
I think that it gets hard nowadays in that now there is a little bit of an audience and there are people who follow me, and there are people who genuinely wait for me to drop this stuff, and to them I'm so grateful, you know what I'm saying? But it does add a little bit of pressure sometimes because now it's different, you know what I'm saying? Now I know that people will read this stuff. So, you know, I'm always second guessing myself, but I think it only sharpens the work, you know what I'm saying? So through and through, I'm grateful for all of it, you know what I'm saying? And I wouldn't describe it as hard. This is a humbling thing that I can do, you know what I'm saying? And I'm glad that people kind of mess with it, you know what I'm saying?
For Q30 News, I'm Tim Malone.
That was a fantastic story, and I just want to personally give a shout out to Hockton, a very good friend of mine, and I know he's been working very hard on this project for a long time. We've been talking about it since about the first time I met him, early sophomore year, when we were roommates together, and you know, long nights of working in his dorm room, working on the project, and playing me samples of it. So I'm super happy for him to be able to get this project out, even if I do make fun of him from time to time for not releasing the project. So I'm happy he's able to get it out, and it's got to be pretty cool to see some students on campus doing kind of their own thing and making their own path.
Oh, definitely, 100%, yeah.
Yeah, so thank you to Hockton for sharing his story with us. And of course, that's going to do it tonight on the desk for us. To stay up to date on the latest news from around Bobcat Nation, be sure to check out our website at Q30TV.com and follow us on Twitter at Q30 News.
For all of our reporters and everyone behind the scenes, I'm Abby Blackmore.
And I'm Jacob Resnick. Have a great night.